Ooh, gosh, I didn't see that.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, top of the time zone. We are at 7 a.m. in the Philippines, 1 a.m. in South
South
Africa.
Africa.
We are at
Yes.
5 p.m. Mountain Standard here in the Mile High City, north of Denver, Colorado. I'm LNC broadcasting where Johnny J, president, station IntervisionFM.com.
Oh my God.
Look at it.
Loving that we serve. So we can have some fun.
So,
Hi, everybody. This is the Godfather, Soul James Brown. I tell you, this business is on. My man is on. Check him out. This is the Godfather, Soul James Brown saying, stay with it and hit it. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. Well, we are here, and we have some good news, and we have some, not so news. Okay, all right. So calm down, Greta. Jimmy Lee, tell me. I mean, it happens, man. It's like he's so full of energy, he's such a fireball. And like in May, what a time to be sick in May. But I bet he's been running like crazy because the deadline is on the 15th to submit some opposition, and they made it easy. It's on the website. Alan, do you want me to grab that website?
JimmyLee2DC.com. That's Jimmy Lee, the number 2, DC.com is where you can find more about Jimmy Lee Tillman. And he was running for Senate a while back. He's still in the fight, and he is supporting opposition to, I believe, Title IX, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's just the women, the guys joining in women's sports, and a lot of women were afraid to speak up, and that was just the weirdest thing I could imagine. It's like they fought so hard, or maybe their mothers, or maybe their older sisters, or someone like that fought so hard to get women's sports, and for the younger ones to be so intimidated.
Yeah. Here's I could stop this debate right now. As a blind person, I would love to think of myself as a lot of things, perhaps a scientist or a great physician, a doctor, a brain surgeon. I would love to go in and operate on people and help them to be able to overcome certain maladies, brain cancers, things like this. But I'm a realist. I'm a blind guy, and I cannot wield a scalpel as a trained surgeon can. It doesn't matter whether I identify as a sighted individual that goes in there and wants to perform that surgery to the best of my ability will not stand up to the rigors necessary to perform the operation. That's just the way it is. Now, if you take this same analogy and you apply it to the topic that we're going to talk about today, you folks, think about it. You'll see where I'm coming from, folks. And this is a good lead in. Where do you want to start, Johnny?
Well, I got to tell the story again about if you guys watch I, Jimmy Jenny, Tony was saying like some of the things he wished he was. And he says, I always wish I was a doctor. And then Gina says, you do? And then she blinked. And then Roger was going into the surgery room to have his appendix out. And all of a sudden he saw Major Nelson with the scalpel. And he started screaming, saying, I'm not going to let you operate on me. So in the case, most of us don't have genies that can blink us in the operating rooms with the scalpel. and she probably could have blinked him with the abilities, but Roger wasn't going for it. So, oh man. So, first of all, let's thank our sponsors. Bondsville, Bondsville is FILS. I thought it was filled, but it's
Bon Phil's Foundation.
Yes.
These guys have been around for quite some time, have they not?
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm ever since I've been writing grants, I've heard of them, and this is, 22 years later, this is the first time they give us a grant,
That's pretty
cool. Yeah, because and then also Christian Brothers Moving Company. I want to thank them for doing an excellent job in movement. They're located in Englewood, and you can find out the other locations. Give them a call. They're located in the phone book. And Itty Mini Grant, we got that at the first of the year. And what's the other one? Denver Arts Venue.
Yeah. Now, these folks are instrumental in helping to get grassroots musicians on the map. That's what Johnny J attempts to do with what we got going here with the school, with a training facility which is online to train disabled folks, whether they're physically disabled, financially challenged, or both. The business of broadcasting and podcasting. It's interesting. Wow, being in the music industry, being in the arts and performing industry, you run into a lot of things. And one of the things we were going to cover tonight was the idea that women in men's sports, men and women's sports, you don't see much in the way of women competing in men's sport, but it does.
Sure.
You see the wrestling, certain things where women want to break into the mixed martial arts stuff, the ultimate fight championships.
Yeah, like UFC and all that stuff.
Yeah, UFC, exactly. You see all this type of, and you commend women for really breaking into what's essentially thought of as a man sport. And so women are somewhat idolized as they get into this kind of thing. Put you on the other foot, though, and you've got a couple of gentlemen who identify as women, born as gentlemen, but they happen to identify as women, and happen to get into, say, swimming or some other sports, and they overtake women in these sports. What happens? How does that work out? How does that affect society? Well, Johnny was saying earlier that women were afraid to speak up on this score. And as a blind person, I find this to be a rather silly phenomena. I use the analogy of a blind brain surgeon. Now, certainly, I don't want to become a brain surgeon by any stretch of the imagination. But by God, where does this start? Where does it end? When we start breaking these social barriers and taking down. We can't even get into Zoom now. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, gotta like technology. Anyway, how does this affect society when we got going on? Let's see if I can let him in here. Admit. There we go. We admitted Johnny back into his room.
Oh, he just disappeared. He just
What do you think, Mike, from the Philippines? What do you think of this? Because we here in America, we tend to put ourselves into a microcosm, a sort of bubble, where we don't tend to look outside of ourselves, and sometimes we can kind of get polarized around this idea.
Well, you know, transvestites here are rampant. It,
Oh, what happened, everybody?
We're still here.
Good here.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening with Mike's network. It seems like it's just
South Africa, how that is there, but I mean, the people here, if they're Catholic, they also
Okay.
believe in all the witchcraft that goes along with it. So,
Huh.
huh?
It's interesting that you bring up different types of Catholicism, different sects within the Catholic Church. And it's interesting that witchcraft can be embraced in certain circles. Wow, that's intense.
Wait a minute. How do we go from witchcraft? How do we go from men competing with women to witchcraft?
Well, I will tell you this. Yeah, this
let me
it is.
let me just dissect in when it comes to that. Like something happens. Like when it comes to witchcraft, because like, would you believe that people who does that, they start like I can say around this time, and sometimes people, especially us black people, we tend to be especially here in South Africa, when somebody is maybe achieving, I would say, okay, this person is using witchcraft and all that stuff. So sometimes it can be a bit, I can say unprofessional in some way. So for some reason, people, they don't understand like how you get those achievements, and they just don't even understand um, when they say they use witchcraft and all that stuff. So that's something I can really say on that.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty intense.
yeah, it
Oh,
is
yeah.
intense. It is intense.
So witchcraft, Catholicism, cross-dressing, women in men and women's sports.
Sports.
How does all this, that we're witnessing the downfall of society? There's got to be hope, right?
Well,
True.
I think this is just a smokescreen.
Yeah.
Sometimes I listen to stuff and I think, there's a group of us that are very sane, and then there's a group of us that they wanted to be disruptors.
Wow.
And so, because
Oh,
I used
definitely.
to, I had an auntie that, not an aunt, I'm kind of, it was a cousin that she pretended to be crazy so she can get like funding because her husband had left and whatever, so she needed a way to survive, so she pretended to be crazy. And then and then her brother said that she became crazy because it became more than an act. So towards the end of her life, I mean, she was not only playing that role, but she was that role.
Oh, Johnny,
So
Johnny. I mean, wow, that is some insane stuff there.
That's insane.
You deal with, wow. Movies can be written about this. Books can be written about this.
True.
yeah. Now I once dated a girl that she said that she was two people, and unfortunately, when she went back to the other person that she left didn't like me anymore. So, that was kind of weird. That was like,
oh shucks.
Hey, were they twins?
Were they
yeah. Oh man, that's such a weird thing, man. Because sometimes, yeah, it was because I heard about that. The Three Faces of Eve, or those movies.
It's Sybil. Oh, you remember?
Oh yeah, was the Three Faces of Sybil? Was it Sybil or
Nope.
Eve?
There was Eve. You were right about that, but there was also Sybil, and then there was all kinds of multiple personality, borderline personality movies that it's actually funny.
Yeah. So
You guys see the UFC fighter that said he'd fight 10 of the trans women and without stopping.
Well,
Said he
well,
found
from my
all 10 of them.
Wow.
to, well, to
Something like
answer,
that. I don't.
I'd love to see
well,
something like that. That'd be good.
well, to answer you,
That
Mike, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure I can say on that because
that would be
I
interesting.
haven't, yeah, I haven't seen any matches that have been broadcasted when it comes to like transgender women or transgender males fighting with male guys or females. I'm not sure about that. I haven't checked that out.
Yeah.
That's one thing I can really say on that.
It's probably on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah,
Hey,
maybe
Yeah,
I
I've
might
seen
check that out later.
I've seen that one in UFC, the one guy that's pretending to be a girl. He just
Mm.
beats those little girls up. I mean,
Wow.
those the women are they're small. He just slams them. It's like,
Yeah.
why would they allow that? That's just,
Yeah, I just saw this movie. What on the airplane? I just saw this movie on airplane about it's LL Cool J was playing this movie, and his niece wanted to become. Well, she didn't want to do anything, but he was teaching her how to play pass the football and stuff like that. And then they let her in the team, and then I guess the boys tackled her a few times, and then I guess she gave one boy a kick, in the place where you shouldn't give boys kicks, because he had tackled her, and so I'm not sure what this girl looked like or how big she was, but she probably wasn't that big or whatever. But some of those movies I thought just probably was conditioning in us this way, and then all of a sudden it flipped, but there was no movies to condition us the other way. But it was a lot of movies, condition us to think that women can be in sports and they can work one of those big rig trucks. Which, okay, yeah, okay, but this with the MMAs and the swimming meets and all that kind of stuff, that was just a side swiper.
It's interesting. I think what you're describing, Johnny, is the slow slide. I mean, if you have a slippery slope, you're not going to notice that as you try to climb this thing that you're taking 2 steps backwards and you're taking a single step forward. You see, I was watching some history type stuff around the behavior of a society just before it falls. And wouldn't you know it, the behavior of a society is endemic of what some would think as wrong think or different think, or, and then all of a sudden it becomes normalized. And that's what we're running up against now, is this stuff that we were told for thousands of years was wrong think. Is now becoming normalized and is out there. And when in fact it was never meant to be a normal thing in the first place. I mean, it deals with creation. It deals with procreation. It deals with the drive which exists in all of us as men and women to do certain things. And once we start monkeying around with that and then saying that this is normal, then rewriting the history around why it was normal or how it got to be normal, well, then we got ourselves some real big problems. But there is hope. I mean, that hope, obviously, I would cling to that hope being Jesus Christ. I mean,
well, that's true though.
That is the Kool-Aid that I've been drinking for a long time, and that is not the Kool-Aid that I plan on ever putting down, because that Kool-Aid tells me that I have eternal life. That Kool-Aid tells me that that I am accepted and that I am loved, and I don't have to go looking for love
Somewhere else.
by being these are all women.
And this is powerful video, and I wish I could find it. I may find it soon. It's this girl saying that she was put on these hormones, and then she started feeling suicidal, and it gave her like a beard and all that kind of stuff, and then she kept on feeling like, doctor, what's going on with me? But the doctor's like, oh, you're all right, you're just this is just a phase, and then she had to realize that no, okay, I might have felt and thought like that, but I'm not really thinking like that. And then she got off all the drugs, and now 2 years later, she's pregnant. But if she had went through with it, they would have ripped out her insides,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
even though she would have wanted to go back to being a woman, the damage has already been done.
Yeah. See, we're going to touch this stuff,
Mm.
whether it's popular. We're going to touch this stuff, whether our benevolent overlords at YouTube like it. We're on Truth. We're on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah,
We
there's a lot
have
of platforms.
to start looking at this stuff, and we have to start
Mm.
calling things out that are not quite right for societal success.
Success. Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they
time
keep
to be on the fence isn't now. Time
Mm.
time to pick a side.
Yeah, true.
and I hear them talk about the 85,000 children that are missing, that have traveled here, and we don't know if they're in sex trafficking or
Oh,
what's happening with them. And they say, well, shouldn't these Democrat politicians care? Well, believe me, if they don't care about them, why would they care about cutting up your child, my child, or grandchildren or whatever? They just don't care. They have this agenda, and if you
Mm.
get cut up in the process, or you commit suicide, or whatever in the process,
Mm.
they think they have total immunity, and I bet they think it in the mind there's no hell. They're just gonna stop breathing one day, and that's it. But
Wow.
I have a feeling there's going to be a big surprise when they get to the other side and find out that
Mm.
it wasn't a joke.
Well, Johnny, I it this way. If I'm wrong about my belief structure at the end of it all, and there is nothing, well, then to nothing I return. However, if I am right, and I am made to stand in front of my Creator, and He says to me, "Son, what did you do with all those gifts that I gave you? What did you do with everything? What did you do with the time that I gave you?" And I told him I did nothing. I sat around and I smoked all day. I played a little guitar. Maybe I chased some women. No, that's not going to do for me.
Yeah, yeah,
To do.
Has to do with stewardship.
That's right. Stewardship. Exactly.
yeah. So it's like I don't know, because this has not been overnight, because you remember that, because once again I'm going back to the media. It was funny back when
Sleep well,
oh
Lataba.
okay, sorry about that, man. Good night. Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
back in the 60s, it was Samantha Stevens and her husband, and he was saying, "Hey, I'm not gonna let you get out of anything. I'm not gonna treat you like you're a baby. Having a baby is nothing." And then Endora says, "Well, let me show him how it feels to have a baby." And then it was this video of the first man to have a baby, and we all laughed about that. Hey, that was funny, but it's almost like inch by inch through their programs.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they call it television programs, because they're programming us. They sort of like inch this in step by step. And then remember, like in the 70s, Three's Company, when it was
Yeah.
like it was weird for a man to stay in the same apartment overnight with two single women,
Oh man, I'll
and
tell
the
you.
manager, yeah, and step by step, it's just like, now, people don't even blink an eye. I mean, that show would be ancient history.
Yeah.
So,
Being a blind person, I didn't know until probably 5 years ago that Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, I guess his name was, slept in twin beds on the set, so to speak. They had twin beds in their room, so they weren't even depicted as sleeping together. I didn't know that.
Dick Van Dyke and
Yeah.
Laura Thompson. Yeah, same thing.
Didn't know
Yeah.
that.
And
That's amazing. And we've come in 50 years from there to here is just it boggles the mind.
yes, and then like when parents, you playing music in your radio. Now, it used to be a time where you played music in your car, and you could find like friendly music. But now, with the tape decks, CD players, or the Wi-Fi, whatever now, and I'm just surprised that the parents are letting their kids hear the same kind of sexually explicit, foul language stuff that, okay, maybe the parents might have used those words, but they say, hey, children, we don't want you using those words. But now it's all in the music. And so there's no differentiating from those words that are not appropriate to the appropriate words. And then even like when some women would go to go for a job, what's that called, job audition, they'll be wearing something they would wear at a nightclub and not know that that's not professionally dressed. And it's like the whole thing has just been like where it says that older women teach the younger women. That's no longer happening in our society. Or older men teach the younger boys. It's not happening in our society, but it's happening in other countries. And and I wonder, like, Mike, where you are. I mean, do you see like a whole difference between like how fathers relating to their sons and mothers relating to their daughters in that country, and then when you come here, it's like, did you went to Mars?
Yeah, it is pretty different. The Philippines is a matriarchal society.
Oh, so the women.
So it's women that show the more strength. They're the ones that are generally more educated as well. And my nephew, I was asking him what he's in 7th grade now. I was asking him, what are you going to do when you grow up? Oh, I'm just going to work, get a job in construction. I said, well, what about when your body breaks down? Well, I don't know. I said, look at your uncles and stuff. They're in their 30s and early, mid 30s and early 40s and stuff, and they can't work. Their bodies have broken down. I mean, construction here isn't like construction there. It's hard work. So I mean, and his dad is a seaman. He goes away all the time on ships, on cargo ships. So I don't really see him having a good father figure to follow. I've taught him martial arts and stuff like that. Been working with him with that for a few years, but it's just doesn't seem to be enough. And my sister wrote a song called what was it? The day he died for me. And part of it goes, fathers teach your children well. No, mothers teach your children well. Fathers show them right, or something like that. And that's real telling. You have to teach your kids. You have to, because they'll learn somewhere else if you don't. And with the schooling and stuff like that, they think that they own the kids and they need to teach them, and that's just absolutely wrong.
The teaching has always been rooted with the parents, has always been rooted with, at the very most, extended family that they lived in the area or had some sort of inroad into that child's life. But it's never been the mythical idea of a village pitching in to raise that one child, unless, of course, you've got a situation where resources are scarce, and I'm talking scarce. And even then, the parents are still revered. And especially in certain places, the matriarchal society still holds true, where the power of creation is held in balance, and it's held in high regard and high respect, but it's still held in balance. Woman is not lording it over the guy, but yet they're walking beside each other in this weird land, as it were, trying to make their way.
Yeah. And so what I was listening to Judge Joe Brown earlier today, and he was talking about like, okay, the boy's growing up in this mother-led household, and she wants him to be more sensitive, more this, but if it was a man there, he would say, hey, okay, son, okay, great, that sensitive stuff, okay, but if someone breaks into this house, you're gonna have to man up. I'm gonna have to man up. We can't be, crying and thinking that the person's gonna say, oh well, he's crying, so I'm not gonna bust his hammer over his head. We seen that what happened with Nancy Pelosi's husband. So that, but so it's like it's certain things that like men can teach men and how to man up, and then sometimes you see this thing where, and even a football game where when the teenagers, they pile up, on one, and they hit each other hard and something like that, and they get that energy, that testosterone. But if you're trying to feminize these guys because you think that that's toxic, but that's just them being naturally them. If the enemy does come into the camp, then it's over.
They're going to scream like a little girl. That's how they've been taught.
That's right. Well, being a blind person, I relate everything back to being blind, and being a blind person, but also being a son of a biker, meaning the real deal, the 24/7 biker, the person that was, my dad was independent, so it took a lot to be an independent biker, not really part of any club. So, I mean, we grew up to be a little bit rougher than some, and being a blind guy, I had to learn how to, take care of stuff, and crying like a little baby didn't get it.
Yeah, eventually you have to learn how to fight. I remember like when I was 21, I was mentoring this, like it was a 19-year-old guy, farsighted like I was, and we used to play this game. Like I would be in the bathroom, and sometimes he'll come in, and then he'll grab me around the throat, and then it's my job to get him off, And
Right.
It would be, we were young guys, and it was like a good struggle, good fight, and then afterwards, we hit each other hand and go out, and we are telling this blind girl, and she says, I don't know what I would do if somebody grabbed me around the neck in the bathroom. I said, you better figure it out. But it was just interesting to see her.
Like the blind are possibly a target. You just have to be confident in your abilities and what you're doing, without being overconfident. And there's something.
When you just said that, I just want to, because when I was in California, I never got attacked, but I had blind people that said they got attacked, and I wonder if it was the way I presented myself, as I wasn't. If we're going to get into it, you're going to get hurt. My mindset, because I wasn't going to go down easy.
It's the idea of looking like out of mark. The idea of being confident, but not being overconfident, because being cocky will still get you into trouble.
Those guys, I know that I can always tell guys who came back from prison because he would walk with his elbows sticking out. I'm thinking like, because oh man, it's just that I could always tell, because he was saying, well, I just got out of the pen, because I could tell, like it's by the way they're walking, that they have to walk in a certain way, almost over exaggerating.
That's right. That's right.
So
best way is to just be relaxed. Best way is to really just walk through this life with the full armor of Christ on. Got to start with the shoes of the gospel of the preparation of peace, and got to have that belt of truth on tight. Got to have that breastplate of righteousness on. Got to have that heart protected, and that mind also be protected with the helmet of salvation. You got the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God, the shield of faith. You're pretty well set with all that stuff. You don't need much else.
Hey,
Got you.
ladies, we thank everybody for joining. Pray for Jimmy Lee Tillman. He was sick tonight, and so he was. So if you're coming to look for Jimmy Lee Tillman, he wouldn't have missed this for anything. But hey, if you're sick, you're sick, and we just pray that he gets better. And I may send over some stuff. Probably he knows about herbs and stuff like that, what have you. But hey, we thank you for joining. Tomorrow's show, we're going to be talking to musicians and artists about how to get into the top Billboard. We're just going to be giving like just little snippets of that, like that, because we wanted to take the master class. Of course, my artists, we already let them know how to do that and stuff like that. So we have about 4 people who have signed up so far, maybe a few more for the class tomorrow. And so if you want to join us, you can do so. And then we're going to do that again following week, but I'm just going to play the replay of that one so we don't have to redo the show again for that one. So, So, thank you everybody for coming. And what time is it? You say it's in the morning time, Mike?
Yeah, it's like 7:30 a.m.
So you woke up early, and then the Sabbath is late, like 1 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah, I guess so. We're right here in the
So-
middle. Right here in the middle.
So yeah, we just switched it a little bit because a lot of people were saying, "Well, I can't talk because I'm at my work and stuff like that." So I said, we'll try it this way for a little while, and then we'll see what happens. So, all right. So thank you guys for being here, and we will see you tomorrow. And God bless, and have a good morning and good night, something like that.
Thanks for the invite.
Oh yeah.